welcome back to Building with the Boys. We now have issue 15 of Hachette's Build the Titanic. In this one we will be using the officers' quarters that we built in issue 14. We'll be adding our first two lifeboats to the officers' quarters. They're quite lovely little things. We'll see those shortly. They don't come with tarps. That was the big thing. There's been a complaint there's no tarpaulin on the lifeboats. And there would have been. I agree with you. I completely agree with you. There would have been tarpaulins on the lifeboats. But I don't know if aesthetically that would look good or not. I think I kind of prefer it with the open lifeboats. But I'm sure there's a way we can add a tarpaulin to these, and then we can see later on if it looks good or not. Adding some fabric to something is not going to be difficult. So if we want to do that later on, we can. We'll look into it, but that's at least a year away, I would imagine. Not only are we doing the lifeboats on the officers' quarters in this one, we are also going to be adding the large piece of keel, and we also in this issue get a very large piece of the stern of the hull. So it's going to be good. I mean, we're building the boat's getting bigger now, so we're doing some actual boat building rather than just adding little elements to little pieces. We're adding a big chunk of boat to our already hefty boat. So it'll be good. It's a good one. After we've done that, we are continuing on our movie journey of the Titanic movies with an amazing film. It's a unique one. I'll just we'll reveal it at the end, but I'll just say the words party time. That's what I can say about this film. Party time. That's the standout. It's weird, but we'll talk about it at the end. Anyway, let's get this open. Let's take a look at the bits and let's do some building. These are the parts we get with this stage. I can already tell you we don't use this. Okay, so we get this, we don't use this. We're going to put that to one side, and this is what we're left with. So we have these two lifeboats here, and they're really rather lovely little things. Those are going to be added to the deck of the officers' quarters. And then we have this large piece of the hull. We'll also be bringing over the piece of keel we got back in issue 13, and that'll be added as well. So as I said, we're going to be adding quite a lot to the boat. Now, these do require glue, so to attach these to the officers' quarters, we're going to have to use super glue. That's fine. The other thing that we got with this are two tools. So these look like two Allen keys, but they're not. This one is an Allen key. There you can see the hex head there. This one is not. So this one might look like an Allen key, but if you look closely, if we can get this to focus, it's a screwdriver. So it's an angle-headed screwdriver. Now we don't use that in this stage, but I can imagine when this thing starts building up, we're going to need something to get down in there to tighten these screws. But we will be using the hex key in this stage. Now, you get the screws, the hex screws, in a different, a separate bag. And it does say we will need 2 of these in issue 18. So don't be losing these. You need to hold on to these for issue 18. So these will be used next month, which suggests we'll be doing more of this. So let's get started. So bringing over our officers' quarters. I'm going to take our lifeboats. I'm just going to test fit them to begin with, make sure they go where they're supposed to go. Yeah, easy enough. So we're going to have to put these on straight when these go on. And that's how they're going to go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a little, just a dab of glue to here and here. And I'm going to use the cocktail stick method to do that. So just take a cocktail stick and touch some glue on there. Now the glue I use for pretty much all of my models is Loctite Power Gel. And the reason why is because it is an incredibly strong super glue, but unlike normal super glue, this is exactly as it sounds, gel. So rather than having, there you go, I can put the gel onto the tip of the cocktail stick, it doesn't go anywhere. Whereas with liquid super glue, it just pours absolutely everywhere. And once it's on, your whole model's going to be covered in it, it'll be all over your deck, you don't want that. So we can just touch on just a little. And we can do that over here as well. And then we're going to add our boat. So I mean, don't be scared of this. You gotta do what you gotta do, and then get your boat on, position it where you want it to go. Because once it's on, it's on. That's where I want my boat to be. And there we are. So you can see that's how quick this glue works. And I have my boat exactly where I want it to be. So that's the first lifeboat. It's time to see the second one. Just rotate this round. Same again. Now I've still got enough glue on here, because again, you don't need loads. You really don't. I mean, you don't want smeared in glue. You need a touch more, and then we're going to be good. There we go. Yeah, you don't need to smear anything in super glue. You really don't. I mean, especially when using the power gel, because you can put it exactly where it needs to go. So you're not going to have any issues with it, you know, not being where it needs to be. Right, and then we take our second boat. We'll pop that where it needs to be. There we go. Now there are two little grooves inside there, so you'll feel when it connects, it'll sit flush. And that's it. So those are our boats glued on, and our lifeboats are now attached. Happy with that. Okay, next I'm going to bring the boat up and we're going to attach this massive piece of keel and hull. So bringing our boat up, let's move this piece out of the way for now. Bring our boat up, we're going to take our new piece of keel. It's going to sit there like that, and then we're just going to slot straight in. And what we're going to do is we're going to attach this with 2 IM screws. So using the 3-in-1 method, which I will show you for the umpteenth time, I just touch the head of the screw in the oil and it just eases its transition in. So you don't want loads, you don't want oil spilling everywhere and getting oil stains over this. I mean, you're never going to see them, but still, this way it keeps it clean, and it just goes in so much easier this way. It means you can get down without, you know, you're not risking shearing a head off a screw or anything like that. So we get down, there we go. That's our first one in. We take our second one and do the exact same thing, just touch in there. As you can see, I mean, I literally just touch the head in it. You don't smother it in oil or anything like that, just enough to get it to ease in. So we're going to make sure this is nice and tight. Okay, let's take a look at that from the bottom. And there we are. So happy with that. Now it's going to get a little bit more complicated because we've got to attach this piece of the hull. Now let's get that stand they gave us. Okay, there we go. So that's how we are now. I'm trying to find the best angle to film this from, so I don't want to miss anything here. But this is going to touch in there, just over these lugs. I think we're going to do it from the other side and take a look at it from that way, so you can see it being screwed together. We've just popped it into place. It's a snug fit, so a bit of a wiggle, it will go. You'll know when it goes because you hear like a snap. There's an audible snap when it's its place, which is good. That means it's nice and snug. We're not going to be loose or have any gaps. Now again, just with 4 IM screws, we're going to screw this into place. And then we are going to need to use our Allen key. And you will see what for when I get to it. I like that, I mean, you know, they've given you a practical way to do things, because I've done part works before where they tell you to put screws in, or typically when you're attaching a chassis to a frame, they just suggest, oh, like, it's the easiest thing in the world to do. You're like, okay, well, either I need the world's smallest hands or the world's longest screwdriver. But they've given you the means to do this, which is good. That's a good thing, because again, they don't all do that. Believe me. Okay, drop another IM screw in there. Something wrong with that one. Oh, that's a weird cut. Okay, let's have a look what's going on with that one. Now, fortunately, they've given me a spare, because I don't know if you can see this, but look how off-center that is. It looked weird as it was going in, so, yeah, not a big deal, because like I said, we have got spares, and part works are normally very good with giving plenty of screws to get the job done, with the exception of R2-D2. That thing is a bloody nightmare when it comes to screws and nuts and bolts. It's like whoever made it was terrified they were going to run out. I mean, they'll charge you enough for it. They can't give you an extra couple of screws. But I'm ranting. Right, so that's 3 in. We got 1 more to go, and then this is done. Right, so it goes in there. Okay, so that's those screws in. Now we're going to attach this to the plate here in this hole and this hole, and to do that we're going to use the hex screws. Now the hex screws we're going to use are MM hex screws. Let's find those. So hex screws, and we're going to pop 2 in. Those come in the bag that came separately. And we're going to use the Allen key for this. Now, if you've got your own Allen keys, maybe use those, because again, they're not renowned for quality. Some of these kits. We'll see how it is though. I mean, I've magnetized mine as well because I don't want any grief. So which means golden smell. So we will use the 3-in-1 technique. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to pop one in here, and this is going to take forever to do one of these. Okay, so this is how this is going to work. You're going to use the Allen key to go in there. This is going to take me a long time to do this, so I think we'll skip to the end. Yeah, that's the final screw in place at the bottom there. That took me entirely too long, because as you can see, you've got a very narrow gap to get in with that hex key. Now the good thing is, as it comes out, you're not going to have, that's going to be the hardest one you're going to do, I think, because it's just a bit of a bugger to get it in there, and you're getting, so you get maybe 3/4 of a revolution on that screw for having to take out and put on again. Bit of a nuisance. Anyway, this is how we're now looking. Now let me turn this around so you can get a better look at it. Just stand in place. So there we are. So now we've got that much boat. It's looking good, right? I'm happy with this. I'm really happy with this. So this is it from the underneath. Is it there? It's looking good. I'm liking this. So yeah, we're looking really rather lovely. And that is all we've got to do in this stage, because we've got the other part. Let's bring that up. That's the other part that we did. And that is stage number 15 complete. Let's have a chat about party time. So that is it for number 15, and wow, we. I mean, look, we're getting some boat now, you know. It's we got some solid structure. It's starting to look good. It's starting to look real good. You can see where we're going with this, where we're going to have our other parts building up here, along here. I'm liking this, I really am. If you're just staying for the build instructions, thank you for stopping by. Please remember to like and subscribe to our channel. It helps us massively. You're doing us a huge favour by doing it. It costs you nothing. Yeah, and we just love to have you, man. We like the more the merrier, and we love talking to you all in the comments. So if you've got any comments, please add them. If you've got any questions you want to ask directly, you can contact me at buildwiththeboys@outlook.com. Those who stick around to come to the movies with us, oh my god, right? So from last month we watched A Night to Remember, which is currently #1 on our chart. It's also the bottom film on our chart. It's the only one we've watched so far. So it's the only one we've seen. So it's Schrodinger's film. It's both #1 and the bottom at the same time. But not anymore, because we have watched another one, and my god, what we watched was this. Now that is the animated feature Titanic, The Legend Goes On. It's an Italian film, but this is English language version that we watched. My god, this is going to take some beating, because this is going to be bottom of the list. And the only thing I think this film actually has in common with the Titanic is it's going to sink down our list right to the bottom. So it's so bad. I mean, like, really bad. Now, not because the animation's particularly bad, it is. Not because the story is bad, but it is. And not because it's an animation. It's incoherent. That's the problem with it. Nothing about the Titanic in this movie, with the exception of a boat being named the Titanic. That's it. That's where it stops. This is a really, 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 really bizarre film. It's just weird. Um, it's plagiarizing every Disney film you can name. So it's almost as if they've gone, yep, we'll take that element and that element and that element. It's bizarre. The star of it is a character called Angelina. And the movie starts with Angelina in a lifeboat, rowing away from the Titanic. So immediately, you've kind of killed your ending, because we know Angelina lives, right? So we know Angelina's good. There's no real mystery here. Then it flashes back to the various occupants of this boat join in. This is where it starts getting weird, because it's like the writer and the producer of this film just went, just get every character on board the boat, but none of them really go anywhere. This is the weirdest thing, right? So Angelina has what's essentially, I'm not even kidding, the wicked stepmother from Cinderella. Looks like her, sounds like her, and she's got two ugly sisters. And it starts off with them snarling and laughing at her. You'll never find your mother. And you're thinking, okay, well, maybe it's a mystery about Angelina finding her mother. It's not. That line of story goes nowhere at all, right? Okay. Then it cuts to Angelina dropping a pendant that's got a picture of her mother in it at the dock, and that gets found by our next rip-off, who's a character called Gaston, who looks like, sounds like, and acts like Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. Shortly after that, we meet our dashing hero. It's such a non-event, this film. And then there's a woman that looks like Jessica Rabbit, who's walking what appears to be the two dogs from 101 Dalmatians. Then Angelina makes friends with a family of Russian mice that get on board the boat. I'm not even kidding. Shortly after the Russian mice get on board the boat, three culturally insensitive Mexican rats get on board the boat. And when I say culturally insensitive, you can see on the poster I just showed you. Here you go. See if you can spot the Mexican rats on the poster. Spot on what gave it away was that massive sombreros, or the slightly insulting faces they've given them. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go as far as say racist, but definitely culturally insensitive. So the animals are anthropomorphic in this film. They talk. We then get a detective. So like Sherlock Holmes is on the boat because there's three criminals, three robbers that are on the boat, and he's got to find them. Again, this strand of the storyline doesn't really go anywhere. There's just so much going on. Like, right, none of these stories actually wrap up. So it's just a bloody mess. And as bad as it all is, because it is bad and incoherent, what makes it worse is, for some reason, about the 30-minute mark, it's an hour and 10-minute film, around about the 30-minute mark, a character that hasn't appeared in the film at all at this point, at all, appears. And it's a dog wearing a baseball cap, a pair of sneakers, a vest, and he starts rapping. And he does a rap called Party Time. There's no other songs in the film. It's not a musical. But for some reason, halfway through this film, a dog turns up and starts rapping. And it's the most cringy rap you've ever seen. Chill out and relax. I'm busting rhymes. Sit back because it's party time. And it's like, oh, God. It's just cringy. Even kids would cringe at this. And it's like rap and hip hop that's been done by somebody that doesn't know what rap and hip hop is. So there's a lot of this going on, and a lot of, you know, it's 1912. It's like, what's happening? So the dog's rapping in the cargo bay of the Titanic for no real reason. It doesn't fit in with the film at all, because there's certainly no party going on. It follows a fairly poignant bit, a fairly sad bit. Rapping dog, sad bit. It's just incoherent, right? Now, you can watch this film for free. Oh, let me show you a picture of the rapping dog, just in case you're thinking you're talking nonsense. I'm not. This is a dog in a Titanic movie set in 1912, and they thought this would be appropriate for the era. Here's a couple of pictures of him. There he is. It's party time. But you never see him again. After that rapper's way, he's just gone. You don't ever see that character again. He just disappears from the film. it's weird. It's like a fever dream. This is the strangest bloody film. I can't see how anybody watched this and went, yeah, that works. Print that. That's great. People will love this. It's regarded, in my research into it, as one of the worst films ever made. Not just one of the worst films about the Titanic. It's regarded as one of the worst animated features ever made. And they're not joking. This is terrible. You can watch the entire thing for free on YouTube, and if you really have to, I'll put the link in the description. So if you really want to go and subject yourselves to an hour and 10 minutes you're never getting back, go check it out. I mean, it's worth it just to see the party time scene, because no one will ever believe you. It's mental. It's absolutely mental. At the end of the movie, everyone gets off the boat, so no one drowns. No one dies on board this Titanic. So it's just weird. So there's no resolution to any of these stories at all. You're expecting like the stepmother and the sister to get their comeuppance, and they go in the water, but they don't. Just nothing. It's surreal. It's such a weird movie. And that's it. That's all I've got to say about the Legend of the Titanic. It's one to avoid, but if you really have to see it for yourself, the link is in the description. Click on it and you can watch the entirety of the most bizarre film I've ever seen. And I've seen some weird stuff. But on our list of Titanic movies, unfortunately, it is ranked the second best Titanic movie from this list, because we've only had 2 so far. So number 1 is still A Night to Remember. Nothing has moved. 1956 Night to Remember. That is our number 1. Number 2 is Titanic, The Legend Goes On. I don't know what we're watching next month, but I guarantee it knocks that one off number 2. We're just going to watch that film, plummet down the chart. Now, I know we've got some particularly bad ones coming up, but that is going to take some beating. I mean, we might have found the pinnacle of bad Titanic movies, because this is going to take a lot of effort to beat. It really is. That's it for this one. We'll be coming up very shortly with number 16. In number 16, we will be building the first class gym and what will have the skylight down to the grand staircase. There's not a ton to do in it, but it's an incredibly key piece. So stay tuned for that. We'll also be talking... I'm not going to tell what we're going to talk about the next one. You'll have to see the next one. It's a surprise. But tune into 16 and, yeah, for more Titanic talk and more model building. In a world where you can be anything at all, just be nice. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll catch you on the next one.